Take a deep breath and concentrate. Dictation will begin in 15 seconds. Get ready. Start.
Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir, this short bill seeking to make certain amendments to the Indian Tariff Act with a view to granting protection to the power and distribution transformers industry and to continue or discontinue protection to certain other industries seems to suggest that it is not very much other than routine business. Sir, it is true that government come forward with amendments to the Tariff Act now and then and try to claim that they have come here to give protection to certain national industries. Sir, we all urge that the paramount necessity of our country is industrialization, and therefore any government action which might seek to improve the process of industrialization in our country is commendable. But as some of the speakers have already said, when government have brought forward this bill, they should have given a report as to the action they have taken for the development of these particular industries. You know, sir, and I want to emphasize it that by mere continuation of the protective duty for all time to come, it is not possible to industrialize our country. We have to go to the basic needs of the industry. Sir, as the honorable friend who spoke first on this bill said, government promised that they were going to appoint a committee to go into the entire cost structure and see whether there was any possibility of the further development and further utilization of the productive power of this particular industry. Therefore, I feel when the government have come forward with such an amendment, they should give us a comprehensive report as to what action they have taken and whether they actually appointed a committee to look into all these problems. Sir, the first point has been already discussed by some of the friends here about the power and distribution transformers industry. It is absolutely necessary for us to see that we have more electric power. Therefore, the development of the power and distribution transformers industry for the manufacture of distribution transformers is absolutely necessary. Here, some allegations were made, but we have got to see that the type of transformers that we manufacture here must be given to the people of India at the price which they can afford. Of course, for something more in certain categories of industries, it may be necessary for us to pay more for the foreign products.
Mr. Chairman, at the outset,
I welcome the proposals. The new proposals inserted in the finance bill include the tax holiday extended from 7 years to 9 years in the case of SSEs. In the same manner, in the case of new plants, the concession is also extended for the purchase of machinery. Some incentive is also extended to the transport policy, which is a vital industry in the matter of economic activities. It deserves that incentive which the Honorable Minister is kind enough to give. In the same way, exemption is also made available to the business of livestock, poultry, dairy farming. These proposals follow the previous budget proposals. These proposals will certainly lead to the development of this country. Something was mentioned here about the price rise. Even after this budget, prices have risen to a considerable extent. Complaint has been made about it here. As far as this house is concerned, every political party has got its responsibility in dealing with this problem. They must have some suggestions to make to the government how to curb price rise. I am happy that the Honorable Finance Minister has come out with a proposal to establish a cell in the Ministry of Finance to make available supplies to the scarcity areas so that the vulnerable sections can purchase these things at reasonable rates. This action of creating a cell may minimize the price level after the budget, though it was welcomed by all. I am sorry to say that certain departments are in collusion with some business people and go against the interest of the government. I would like the government to take stern action against those officers as well as persons involved in this matter. For example, in my neighboring district, Nilgiri, there is a public undertaking unit, that is Hindustan Photo Film. Soon after the budget proposals were announced, saying that they will be effective from 1st July this year, some officials came in collusion with some persons in South India Film Chamber in Madras, and they smuggled about 45,000 rolls of color films valued at rupees 25 lakhs from the godown of a firm. I would like the government to take stern action against those persons. This request of ours will bear fruits and will give a good name to the government and the people of India. About allegations made about the departments, we have been noticing in respect of expenditure that was soon as amounts are allocated to the respective departments of the state government, they are not at all taking any interest whether a particular amount allotted to a particular department is properly utilized or not. It is done only after the entire amount is spent. It is time to have a mechanism to find whether the amount allocated to the departments of the state governments are properly utilized for the particular purpose for which they were earmarked, and it is ensured that in the future they do not spend all their amount at the end of the financial year. For example, if some amount is allotted to a particular department, they sleep over that amount and then they spend that amount hurriedly at the end of March, with the result that the amount is not utilized properly. There is scope for waste, corruption, and malpractices. Therefore, it is the duty of the government to come forward with proposals to check these malpractices and inefficiency prevailing in the departments. The report of the Comptroller and Auditor General for 1997 to 1998 shows how the departments are not utilizing the amounts properly at all. Government is committed to certain principles to give to the people everything they need, but at the same time, the departmental executives do not understand the realities or the principles and the responsibilities of the government. In those cases, I would like to ask the government to fix responsibility on a particular officer. What happens? Suppose some officer commits a mistake and the audit report finds something, a reply is given by the government and it is treated as if his responsibility is over. No action is taken against him. He may be transferred from one department to another. He has made some mistake or mischief at the cost of the exchequer and at the cost of public welfare. Government should fix responsibility on the officer and then only this type of lethargy in the departments will go. We are getting assistance from foreign countries, the World Bank, and the International Monetary Fund, and other agencies, and the funds are utilized by our government. As far as India is concerned, I am happy that most of the funds are properly utilized. But at the same time, there may be by some lacuna or shortcoming in the execution of projects. If the World Bank prepares an audit report, it should be placed on the table of the House so that we know what is happening, what difficulties are pointed out by the World Bank. We have as one of the items for discussion today a problem which raises fundamental issues of law and justice. Till now, the state has looked upon an offense as a crime for which the offender must pay. Such offenses, whether you call them crimes or sins, were regarded as evil and attracted as their inevitable consequences. Punishment. Punishment was therefore regarded as a consequence of crime and justified in itself. The classic exposition of this view is in the principle an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth, later age. However, raised the question of the utility or justification of punishment. Critics arose who asked how a murdered person benefited by the slaughter of his murderer. In fact, the only result was the loss of life of two individuals instead of one. Punishment was therefore sought to be justified on grounds of its deterrent character, but even this did not satisfy critics who pointed out that, as a matter of fact, punishment did not deter. A new school of thought arose which approached the problem of punishment from the point of view of reform of the offender. Instead of a retributive theory of punishment, we thus find the emergence of an educative and reformatory theory of punishment. This dispute between the different theories of punishment has not yet been settled, but on one point there is almost unanimous agreement among both theorists and practical men of affairs. All agree that in the case of juveniles, there must be a change of outlook with regard to punishment. For one thing, young persons without maturity of judgment cannot be held fully responsible for their actions. For another, experience has shown that confinement of such juveniles in jails confirms them into criminals. In fact, children who may have committed some crime through want of knowledge or on the impulse of the moment become habitual criminals if they are once sent to jail. Recognition of this fact has led many countries to provide separate establishments for juveniles. In India, we have had reformatories and houses of correction in different provinces, but it must be admitted that even these have not fully met the purpose. The provision of such reformatories or juvenile jails has no doubt separated the juvenile offenders from the confirmed criminals. But as they themselves have been miniature jails, the educative aspect has not found the emphasis. The position with regard to the care and management of juvenile delinquents is thus obviously unsatisfactory. In the first place, not all the provinces that have children's acts on their statute books are working them adequately. The work is chiefly confined to bigger cities, and even there it leaves much to be desired. The probation officers have not the requisite training, nor have the magistrates of the juvenile courts the required qualifications. The certified schools are not working properly, and aftercare is all but non existent. A little consideration will show that in a matter like the problem of juvenile delinquency and the proper methods of dealing with it. There must be uniformity among the different provinces. It is also desirable that the practice of this country should conform as far as possible to that of other enlightened countries of the world. In the UK, the persons between the age of 8 and 17 are regarded as juveniles and are tried by special juvenile courts. Panels of magistrates are selected from justices of peace and according to present regulations, these panels consist of 2 or 3 persons selected every 3 years. In metropolitan courts, one of the magistrates must be a woman, while outside London, this practice is observed as far as possible. The administration of the courts is under the Home Officer, but special advisory committees were set up in 1910 in order to make the attitude of the administration more progressive. In the past, punishment for the juvenile delinquents was in proportion to the gravity of the offenses. But in recent time, the trend is towards the reclamation of the future citizen rather than the punishment of an offender. The changeover from punishment to education is almost complete in the USA and in some of the European countries. In the USA, the upper age limit for juvenile delinquents is 21. Up to the age of 18, the offender is under the exclusive jurisdiction of the juvenile courts. But from 18 to 21, these courts exercise a concurrent jurisdiction with the ordinary courts. The trend of legislation is to make the juvenile courts independent of the ordinary system of criminal justice. In addition to the special magistrates, the USA provides for referees to assist in the hearing and disposition of the cases. Where the delinquent is a girl, it is the practice to associate a properly qualified woman referee with the court. The USA has no advisory bodies, perhaps because social service agencies play an important part in all cases before the juvenile courts as such. Stop.